what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to Al Lowry. Dr. Al Lowry, thank you so much for showing up here. Switch the computers over. Get that going for you. But thank you so much for showing up. Yeah, and that actually, this is the one for your computer there, so I'll take that. We'll trade, and I'm going to swap this over.
Never know with these flippers, you know. Well, hi, everybody. Hi. Come on, let's try it again. Hi. Hi. I'm glad to be with you. Actually, when I received the invitation to come out to visit with you, I said, wow, what a great idea. I just love to be there. And they said, well, the audience is not going to be too large. I said, well, will you have at least one person? And they said, yes. I said, good, I'm coming. And I'll tell you what, I haven't been up to the castle now for like 35 years. I have 5 children, took all my kids over there and what have you, and I want to go back again, so I'm going to go up there tonight actually and go there on the first tour tomorrow morning. And so therefore this is then called a business tax deductible trip. Right. How many know what I mean? Right. Got it? That's what it's all about. But you're here for various reasons. Some are here today because you went to your first meeting. Maybe you have a credit problem, maybe you have an investment problem, but I think most of you are here because you need more money. How many need more money? Just a few of us. Why don't we have all the money we want? I mean, after all, we went to school year after year after year. You finally came out of school, somebody said, congratulations, you've made it. Sure hope you find a good job somewhere. You went out and looked for work. I finally found a job, worked 40, 50 hours a week, you know, work away, pay a bunch of taxes, etc. And then, of course, retirement comes along. And you're saying, wow, all of a sudden, I'm looking at retirement, I wonder how my savings are and my investments are going to be, because this becomes important. And the government's now telling us that you've got to plan at least 30 years of retirement. So have you put aside enough investments that's going to bring you the money you want to maintain the same standard of living that you've been enjoying for all these years, realizing the cost of living keeps going up? So therefore, this becomes very important for us to understand. Now, this being the case there, what is the government trying to tell us? Well, the government tells us at the age of 65 that 22% of you working because of choice or need, 28% are collecting welfare, including dependent on Social Security, 45% dependent on family, and now I came back here again. Okay, and then we move on again. Okay, now we got a full screen, all right? And therefore, what we look at here is dependent on family, 4% financially secure, which means they don't have to lower their standard of living at retirement. Only one becomes rich to wealthy. They call that the 1%ers. Isn't that true? Now, the thing is that we hear a lot of negativity about the 1%ers. So how many of you do not wish to be part of the 1%ers? You don't want to be part of the 1%ers. Okay, well that's okay. We see the rest of you do. So I'll tell you what, it would be okay. We'll put you in the top 5 then. Okay? All right. Oh, the top 5 is okay. Financially secure, where you never have to worry about money anymore. Now that's a nice position to be. So the top 5 would be the position for most people in order to get up there. But when we think about this, how much money are we going to need? Well, USA Today told us that you'll need $1 million to retire. If you were retiring today at 65 years of age, you're probably going to live to about 90 or so. Is $1 million going to do it? Not going to make it. That's true. So therefore, why did they say that? Well, you see there's one thing missing here. That was the headline in the spring of 1995. Is a few years ago. So why have I got these other things on there? Because rich people are no different than anybody else. What they do is they learn rules, and they follow the rules. And the rules there, of all rich people throughout the world, of business people, is leverage. The use of other people's money. See, it doesn't matter how much money you have to use, or borrow in order to make more money. It doesn't really matter. It's how much money can you make. Now we hear about our interest rates right today. I mean, you should be buying like you wouldn't believe today, because with interest rates are so low, we haven't seen anything like this. But actually, have they been much higher? A lot of you probably recall or heard back in 1982, the interest rates are up at 20%, 22 to 24% interest. Al Lowry is an investor. He's buying property. He goes to the Bank of America. And I borrow money at 22% interest rates from the Bank of America to buy another apartment building. And you say, I'd never pay that much. Well, if you're gonna make 50%, can you afford 22? If you're gonna make 70%, can you afford 22? Isn't that the fact of all the grocery stores and all businesses? They buy goods for XX dollars, and then they mark them up, and then they pay for them. Well, we do the same thing in real estate, because we get people in there that are called renters. Isn't that true? So therefore, we look at these various principles. Now, there's 4 major principles of this. First of all, leverage. The next thing we look at is forced appreciation, the forcing of a change of value. Now, you've all seen somebody buy a little house, picks it up a little, put it back on the market there and sell it. They forced a change of value. Now, grocery stores do the same thing, because they make them immediate for you. They give you a cart to go ahead and buy the stuff so they can make more money. It's the same basic principle. The next thing we're looking at is we want income. Now, a lot of people buy property, and of course when they're buying the property, our good realtor people there, they say, you know, this is a great investment for you, you're going to get all these tax benefits, etc. Well, yes, it does have a little negative cash flow of a few $100s a month, but the tax benefits are wonderful. How many of you have ever heard of negative cash flow? Then I have a point. How can you get rich if you have to keep doing this every month and peeling out money? That's not the principle of investing. The principle of investing is to have cash flow. And therefore, if you're an intelligent investor, you've been taught what to do. You can go out to see a property, you've made a decision, you really like the property, what do you do in your homework, and you can prove that you're going to have a positive cash flow within 90 days or you don't buy the property. It's just that simple. You prove it in advance, and therefore you move on from there. Now, when you have this income coming to the property there, it's kind of nice, because income is coming from usually called a renter. The renter gives you a check. What does it pay for? Interest, principal, taxes, upkeep the property. Isn't that true? Well, then after that, actually, you can actually go ahead and increase the rents, which is going to change the value. Then, in addition to that, you have all these tax benefits going to come in, which is only in entering your tax return and able to make certain tax deductions legally, ethically, and morally, allowing you to build your estate faster, enjoy a higher and better standard of living. That's the system. And the interesting thing is, when you start out there, you buy one little property, and then you might get a second little property. The thing is, if you're in the position you don't have money to start, you buy a little property, you clean it up, when you put it in the market, you sell it and grab the money, and you have to pay some taxes. But you now have more money. You buy another little property, you clean it up, fix it up, and you sell it, and you make some more money. Now your cushion is much, much larger. Now the third property might be because you were living in an apartment to buy something for yourself to live in. You understand? Now, you're going to hold that one. That is not an investment, that's a home to live in. Now you do a couple more little properties. Now you keep one. And that one there is to give you the leverage factors, the appreciation factors, the income factors, as well as the tax benefits. And after you get the second and third property, the fourth and the fifth property, etc., you'll eventually start to understand, hey, what am I going to work for anymore? I'm making more money in my spare time than full-time from that job I've been having that I thought was so important. As a result, you're going to be forced to do something, you're going to have to quit the job. Be able to do like what you would like to do and travel, whatever it is that you like to do. That's what real estate's all about. And therefore, and I can attest to these principles very strong, because I started out just like you, basically. I had nothing to get myself started in the market, but I had to get out there and I had to learn, just like everybody else. And in learning about what these things are all about, I found that I was becoming somebody fairly well known. And I've been interviewed by the New York Times and People magazine and Money magazine, etc. But I'm going to be little quotes about what I'm talking about here, of what I have found. Thanks to the breaks, the Internal Revenue Service will give you the infinite possibilities for creative financing. As Dr. Lowry teaches you, there's no limit to the fortune you can build this way. People magazine, my seminars have sellout audiences across the country. Money magazine, they came to my home at Lake Tahoe. My home at Lake Tahoe is Zephyr Cove, actually 9,000 square feet, indoor swimming pool, my own private jet at the airport. And they want to know, what is the secret that a guy like me, that comes from another country actually, with no money, no nothing, in a very, very short period of time, I'm a multimillionaire. What is it? What is this secret? And I said, well, it's not that difficult actually. It's to learn how to use other people's money, learn how to buy wholesale real estate, and then you can retail real estate. Then also make investments that you hold for a future and make money that's going to look after your future. And then make sure you understand the tax benefits available for you, and that's all there is to it. He said, well, everybody knows that. I said, if that was the case, everybody would be rich, and I find the majority of people are poor. So therefore, they don't understand. They don't understand what this thing is all about. And if they will not take the time to sit down and learn the rules, then they're going to fail. And the thing is, there's lots of stuff available out there. The thing is, you got to learn the rules. You want to drive a car? Don't you take some time to learn some of the rules first, or you're going to crash? Isn't that true? We just had a downturn. That downturn, a lot of people say, oh, this is horrible. It's been a fantastic buying opportunity for people like ourselves. Absolutely unbelievable. But what was interesting about it, it wasn't the people that had those income-producing properties that kept the money coming in, because the rents pretty well remained the same. The property went down in value, but the rent was the same. The cash flow was the same. We're still going to the bank all the time. And then the market's changing. It's just starting to change, and it's on an upturn now. And with the upturn, what's going to happen to the rents? They're all going to go up. Isn't that true? I was just speaking with my associate, Reggie, about the fact that 2 years ago, we looked at properties over in the section of Las Vegas. And we were looking at it for X square footage, etc., what the property was all like, etc. They rented at $900 a month. Now, it's only 2 years later. It's now renting at $1,295. And $1,295 is low, because it should be $1,395. So just think if you had bought that 2 years ago. Do you know that properties over there are still 30 to 35% below fair market value of what they were in 6 and 8? You understand that? Well then, why don't you think about it? What do I have to do to get out there and get another little property? You say, well, I live in the Santa Barbara area. Of course, I don't want to buy them anywhere else. You can have somebody else look after them, couldn't you? There's no calluses here. In this Northern California property area here, myself owning over 50 apartment buildings. That's quite a few of them, quite a few. Houses, my family, etc., doing Los Angeles area, over 150 properties. Yeah, and there's still no calluses. We can still do what we want when we'd like to do it. And you say, wow, this is kind of exciting and interesting, and what you can possibly do in the market, and that is exactly true. What do all these people have in common? Mark Victor Hansen, Robert Allen, Robert Kiyosaki, Carlin Sheets, Jeff Adams, Juan LeGrand, Robert Sheeman, Raymond Aaron, Ray Thurston, Reggie Brooks. What do they all have in common? I'll give you the answer. Every one of them are my students. Every one of them started out sitting in the same chair as you. And they took that material that I gave them and they studied. And they worked at it. They all became multimillionaires and became teachers in teaching of real estate investing and what it's all about. How many heard those names before? Interesting, isn't it? And the thing is, they sat in their same chair. I say to you, as I say to everybody, you take the material, you sit down and learn. It'll change your life. I can't change your life. You do. But I can give you the tools to make it happen. In fact, you could be the finest carpenter in the entire world. You couldn't hang that door without the correct tools. What makes you think that you can run out to the marketplace and look at a few properties there with some realtor who's there to sell you on a retail basis, because that's the law, that you're going to make it and get rich? You're not going to do it. You have to sit down and learn the rules. And when you learn the rules, you've got the tools. When you got the tools, you can make a lot of money. And that's all it is. It's very simple. Yes, dear?
Question. Have you ever trained women to be successful teachers?
I'm sorry, pardon?
Have you ever trained a woman to be a successful investor and tutor and teacher?
Yes, actually, it's very interesting about that point. I struggled trying to get women teaching my classes, actually, and I had a real problem trying to find them. The thing is, most of them are out there investing, etc. I was just visiting with Linda Baumgarten, and she runs a club over in Hartford, Connecticut. And she has her meetings around 200 people coming out all the time. And she's buying properties all over the place, etc., managing. She runs the club. She also speaks and all the rest of it. I do not know if she's a multimillionaire or not. But the thing is, I haven't taught her. but I have spoken at her club many times. You understand? So there's a big part of understanding of investing, and women actually seem to be more stronger and do better than most men. Strange as it may seem, but it is true in the marketplace. And what's also interesting about what we're sharing over here, this happens to be a card here, and Reggie Brooks came over to a meeting I was holding at the Marriott Hotel. And he came up and he said, Mr. Lowry, he said, I just want to let you know that I'm a multimillionaire today because of your teachings. And he said, you talked about not buying retail. He said, all personal property, all real property, etc. can be bought wholesale. You just have to understand what to do. He said, I've gone to an auction, bought a car like this, and then sold it actually within a week or two or three, and made a few $1,000s. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you know it doesn't take that long to do. He said, you see the house in the background here? I said, yes. He said, well, that's a wholesale deal too. He said, practically every single thing in that house there came on a wholesale level. He said, even the trees out there, the palm trees. I said, well, that's pretty good there. It's like a good sized house. He said, yeah, it's about 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms or something like that actually. And I said, well, with that house there, do you still have it? He said, no. He said, I sold it. And I said, you did? And he said, yeah. He said, I was going to sell the house for $895,000. And he said, but I took your training, and he said, I called you about what to do. And he said, you told me not to sell it for $895,000. He said, no. He said, I'm going to make about 50 grand on this. And I said, no, you're doing everything wrong. What I want you to do is sell this house for $1 million or so. And he said, you can't do that. I said, don't tell me what I can't do. I'm telling you what to do. And he said, well, I can't do that. It won't work. I said, look, you want me to tell you what to do, or you know it all already? He said, no, tell me. I said, well, then listen to what I'm talking about. As a result, because of the one formula that I taught him, he in turn sold that house for $1,020,000 cash. The interesting thing is, hundreds of thousands of dollars extra money, legally, ethically, and morally provided by law. He and his wife did not have to pay 1 nickel of taxes by law, because he did what I was told him to do. Now, how many would like to go out and make a few $100,000 and not have to pay tax by law? It's legal. The thing is, the rich people are all doing it. And you say, but how come we don't know about it? Because people don't want to teach you. All they want to do is sell you something. You understand? They got their hand in your pocket all the time. So I'm not going to be selling you anything at the moment here. I've got a course, yeah, I wouldn't like to disappoint you on that. I've got a course, this is true. It's very inexpensive, but I don't take any commissions, I take in referral fees, etc. And we're in doing business. And we do a few properties here and there actually. We have money to do it, etc. So therefore we can move very, very quickly. If we in turn find a transaction over here that makes some sense, we can move quickly. And we've actually had it where there was competition, and somebody else is in there, says, well, my deal is, but I got to sell my house to make it happen. And we walked in there and said, here's a cashier's check for $100,000, sign the paper. You understand? Do we get our deals? Yes, we do. And I'm going to show you a couple of them actually, of our own personal property, of what we have done actually, so you can see how this system works. How many like that idea? Make sense? Makes a lot of sense. Now, in moving along, you see this wise man, Albert Einstein. You must learn the fundamentals. And this is true. If you don't learn the fundamentals, you crash. Just that simple. A wise person learns through the eyes of successful people. And I've often said to people, especially when they're trying to get themselves started, they go and ask the next door neighbor what to do. And if the next door neighbor was so smart, the next door neighbor wouldn't live next door to them. They'd live somewhere else. You understand my point? So the thing is, what you do is search out the people who've got the knowledge that you can work with and grow with, which of course is very advantageous to you. Now, in moving along there, we're going to hit basically 4 areas. Very quickly, I'm going to talk about auctions, personal property auctions, real property auctions. How many have ever heard of the National Asset Seizure and Forfeiture Program? I got 2. Interesting enough, what is this? This is the government's program dealing with illegal drugs. You don't know anything about it? Illegal drugs in your area? Yes, right? If the authorities come and seize because of illegal drugs, that could be police or marshals or whoever comes to seize. They seize cars, boats, airplanes, combines, tractors, and furniture, and whatever. What do you think our government does with this stuff? They sell it at public auction for pennies on the dollar, and you know nothing about what I'm talking about. And I've been going to auctions for years and years and years, buying all kinds of various things that are out there. This becomes important to us. Now, very little written about the subject matter. Reader Digest, the scandal of government auctions here. It's a taxpayer's nightmare. All this stuff the government's paid for, so much money being sold for pennies on the dollar. Gives an example. Okay, Thomas Hall, he bid $15.90, number 142. He bought it at the auction. It was worth $167,550. He bought it for 15 bucks. Here's the United States Marshal here selling absolute, which means the highest price, no matter how low that price may be, is going to get a boat. This boat is 65 feet in length. It's a fishing trawler. It's appraised at $50,000, and they sold to the Mark Lewis over. Mark Lewis buying his boat out there, $10. 26 people stood there at that auction. He was the only person who bid. And everyone then probably looked at each other and said, you know, I would have bid, you know, but you got to clean the barnacles, that's a lot of work. And you got to paint them, and you got to pay the insurance and the mooring charges, and so that's why I didn't know. People, everybody's got excuses. Everybody's got an excuse to be why they're failing so well. You understand? You know, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, etc. I didn't have a childhood, I didn't have that. We all got excuses. The thing is that you're responsible for you and your family, nobody else. And therefore, you have to take action. You've got to invest into this thing. Else it just isn't going to happen. And that's what I'm sharing with you right now. Now, let's take an example over here, Los Angeles Times. We're just talking about auctions there. Did you know that in municipalities all over the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, what have you, they got police departments holding auctions. And they have cars, and they got boats, and they got all kinds of things. Now, they have these captured things now. They capture money. Do they auction off the money? No, they keep the money. What about all the drugs they seize? Because there's a lot of those. They're not for sale either. The auctioneer took them home yesterday, so they're not available. That was a joke, okay? All right. But anyway, that's really what it's all about. Here's my student here. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms auction he's going to. Makes $15,000 a week. He finds a $32,000 Jag worth for sale. He paid $10,000. By the way, that is a fairly high figure, $10,000, okay, when you're at these auctions. Now, he sells it within 1 week to a dealer. So he makes $15,000. What's wrong with that? Okay? Would you think about contacting alcohol, tobacco, and firearms to go to a sale? Now, yeah, there could be cars there, like there might be this beautiful Mercedes you would love to have. It's got a few bullet holes in the left door or something. And, you know, you can get them fixed up. Go ahead, smile. Okay, you can get them fixed up. Isn't this true? Yes. So when you can buy very cheap, it's the same with real estate. If you can buy this stuff, no matter how bad it's beat up, you can change its value and make a lot of money. It's the same thing with fixing the door on the Mercedes. It's the same principle, and you make a lot of money. You know what's so exciting about it? What about personal property over here? Okay? A watch here, a Rolex here, $750. My student sells it for $13,000. Buys a diamond ring over there, paid $510, sold for $4,000. This is what it's about. Why would you want to go and pay retail all the time? And what is interesting out there, you hear about all these auctions going on, these sales going on, etc. A lot of auctions are retail auctions. You're going to pay retail. You don't understand what you're doing. And therefore, you're going to come to me and you're going to listen to what I'm telling you. So you do not make the stupid mistakes that you've probably made in the past. Well, of course, we also have to understand this bit's very, very exciting because these same principles move right straight into your real estate. Now, real estate auction. Since I took the training, I purchased 74 single-family homes, 2 apartment buildings. I owe this success to your knowledge and wish to share it with others. Todd Snively. Do you know how long this is? A period of time? He's living in an apartment. He's got a job. He buys my course and decides to study and take action. And he does. 8 months. 8 months. 74 homes? I've never done more than 38 deals in a whole year. And this guy's coming on the market to do 74 houses? You get on the phone, isn't that true? 74, and 2 apartment buildings? I got a few questions. Do you have all these houses? No, I don't have them. He said, I only have one. I said, and what did you do with all the rest of them? He said, I didn't do anything with it. I said, well, how did you put the financing together? Did you go to the prime there to get the financing? How did you do this? He said, no, I didn't get any financing. I said, you got no financing? I said, how did you qualify for the mortgage? He said, I didn't qualify for any mortgages. I said, well, what were you doing? He said, I just did what you said in the course. That's all I did. I said, what did I say in the course? He said, you told me go get a contract, wholesale, and assign the contract over to somebody else who would like the property. They qualify for the mortgage, they do everything, etc., and I just take my money. I said, what did you make on this? He said, well, not a lot. He said, you know, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 a house. I said, you never took title? He said, yeah, I did. I took title to one. I live in one. You know, you stop and think about this for a minute, and we hear all the excuses that you cannot do anything, and here's a guy doing it. All those properties, he never qualified for a mortgage. One gentleman in Alberta, Canada, 300 plus houses, has never signed a mortgage and never applied for a mortgage. Got over 300 houses. People, there's excuses for everything. Isn't that true? Yes. Don't make excuses. Get the material, sit down and learn is what I'm talking about. Jimmy Patterson, example. Some people have young and old, whatever. It says here, he's a real estate major at Georgia State University. And what he goes out there is to learn all about real estate, correct? And he gets involved in my training. And he said, the university training was absolutely totally different to the stuff you talked about. He said, you talked about get out there and make the money. He said, they all talk about the theory of what real estate's all about, and how it worked, etc. And I said, I got a master's in real estate. And they taught me all the theory. They taught me all about what they were doing 200 years ago over in Europe. That's exciting stuff to know. It doesn't make you any money, but that's how you get a degree. How many know you got a lot of junk in those degrees? Isn't that true? You got a lot of it. But anyway, it's part of the fun, actually. But anyway, we can talk about that. And he goes out to the marketplace, gets a little hush for $44,000. Needs $6,700 to fix it up, and it appraised it for $72,000. The interesting thing is, he's never had a job. He doesn't have a credit card. How do you buy my course? He got his grandmother to give him the money. That's how he got the course. What was interesting also about this, he's 21 years old. 21 years old. Now, when you think about that, is there any excuse for you not having all the things you want? The sooner you get off the bus and you get out there and you start doing it, the sooner you're going to have the rewards. It does not happen by sitting on a chair or watching TV or going to the ball game. You have to put a little effort in it. How many would agree? You have to put some effort into it. And that's exactly what this is all about. What about your credit? Is credit a factor? Well, actually, you know, you hear about the fact if you don't have credit, you can't do this, you can't do that, etc. Some of you, of course, buy insurance. In fact, most of you do. Okay? And the insurance companies have a way of raping you about your credit. Did you know that? Oh, yes, they do. Okay? We have two people in the room here, okay? And one of them over here has got really, really super credit. And what they need is just minimal insurance, because you have to have some insurance there to get your driver's license, you understand. And therefore, the premium is going to cost you $50 or $60 a month. So we've got that, okay? Well, now we got the other person over here, actually, and their credit's not good at all, but they still got to get the insurance. Now, in both cases, they've never had an accident in 30 years. You understand? No accident in 30 years. Actually, good driving records, whatever. But their credit's not good. You know what the difference in premium could be? This one here is $200 a month, and this one's $60. Because, you see, they say there on the applications that they have the right to go ahead and check your credit. They use a FICO scoring. The interesting thing about that, they're not giving credit. So why do they need to know your FICO score? It's to rape you for more money. Therefore, you've got to learn about credit. You've got to learn about it. It's absolutely paramount, because if you don't, every time you put a mortgage out there, it's going to cost you more money out there. You pay penalties, etc. Some of you have heard of, for an example, on a mortgage there's what they call prepayment penalties. Somebody heard that? Prepayment penalties. If there's a prepayment penalty out there, do you have to pay a prepayment penalty? There's no answer. The answer is you got to read the note. If you read the note, you'll find in practically all mortgages provides for the fact about 30 days will not do it. 60 days, 60 to 90 days advance notice of your intention to pay off the mortgage. There's no prepayment penalty. So I just saved you another $5,000 or $10,000. And what I'm trying to drive at is industry will not teach you anything what I'm talking about. Let's take another example. You're closing a transaction. You're buying a property. Who pays for policy of title insurance? Tell me, who pays? Come on. Oh, the seller pays. Well, isn't it interesting if you look at the context, it's blank. So I can write in seller, I can put writer, buyer, I can put split, I can do anything I want in there, can't I? I can put lender down, I can put real estate agent, I can put anything I want. Now the other thing is too, you said the seller pays. I'm the buyer. I have you pay. I now sell my property over to Brian. Brian buys my property. I go back to the title company and get a 90% refund of the money you paid for the insurance. I get the refund, you don't. And I didn't pay a dime for it. Oh yes, I did. I paid for a binder. You say, I don't know what you're talking about. And yet you're all sitting here involved in real estate. You don't know what I'm talking about. Because you see, you're not going to learn that out in the streets. You're going to learn that only from a very knowledgeable investor who's done a lot of properties, etc. And I teach, and I love teaching. And you say, well, why do I do it? Because I do it. I love it. I'll always teach. I don't have to. But I love teaching. I love to show people what they can do to change their lives and make their lives work better. So establishing credit, cleaning up your credit, etc. It doesn't take long to clean up credit. It's a matter of learning. Expanding good credit. Keep your credit picture private. Have you ever noticed that all people that make quite a bit of money get sued? How many of you ever noticed that? Okay? The interesting thing is we do. Me too, etc. I've had tenants sue me, and I got one guy who's got a mental problem sue me, and you know, we've all had it, because they look at the fact that you make multi-millions of dollars and you work hard to get that money, but they want some of it for free. And the attorneys all work on the basis, you know, the more money you have, the more attorneys want to chase you. You understand? It's the game. So therefore, you've got to learn. So how can we protect ourselves? We don't own anything. That's how we protect ourselves. You all own a car. I don't own a car. Rich people don't generally own cars. We don't rent cars. We don't lease cars. We drive company cars because our corporations own them. You understand? And what I'm trying to say is I'm going to teach you these things that will make you rich. It'll correct the problems you might have been doing in the past. If you're going to sell a property, you better learn what it is about selling it, because I can put another $10,000, $20,000 or $50,000 in your pocket by showing you as to what these things in fact are all about. Bankruptcy, I have people say, oh, I filed bankruptcy last year, I can't buy anything. Where'd you get that information? Oh, the realtor told me. It's not true. You could have filed bankruptcy last week and I teach you how to buy a house next week. Because there's a difference of knowledge, isn't that true? Real estate people do a great job in selling and selling houses. They're not generally investors. They don't understand how to make money, or they wouldn't keep working in the business of selling houses. They would have got out of that. You understand? They know doors. Okay, we count a lot of things we do by doors. Okay? These are important figures to understand in growing. You know, I get a lot of testimonials, and some of them are very interesting. And this one here is interesting because these people are from Europe. And it says here, after a 10-year seminar, we were able to acquire our first property by using the techniques you taught us in your training. And last year, we purchased a total of 12 properties. Now, let's stop and think. They're living in an apartment. They both have a job. They have hardly no assets of any kind. And they got an old used car. You got it? Yet they control 12 properties in 12 months. We currently own more than $3 million in real estate, and our net worth is soared from meager $17,000 to over $750,000 within 12 months. Now think about that for a minute. The only thing they had, they thought if they sold everything they possibly had, they had $17,500. And here they are 12 months later with a net worth of $750,000. They then go on to talk about a contract they're working on. Therefore, it's a building, a little 16-unit building worth $1.4 million. It has about a $300,000 built-in equity. So the real estate value, okay, on the market, the realtors would sell for is 1.4. You understand? And they've gone and negotiated a deal to buy at $300,000 cheaper, so they're buying wholesale. They closed the transaction in 14 months, self-made millionaires in this great country of America. 14 months, coming off a boat. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but this is exciting. And also, Denise improved her credit score. When they started, she had a credit score under FICO of 540, and she moved it to 797. Some of you in turn get taken in by television. Television out there, freecreditreport.com, free credit report. You've all heard that stuff, isn't that true? Just go ahead and contact us. You don't even need a credit card to get a credit report on you, okay? Get a FICO, not a FICO, get a credit score. It's not a FICO score. It's not even a Vantage score. They have their own scoring system. What have you got? Why did they do it? Why would they spend millions of dollars on television to give you a report, supposedly? To get your email address so they can sell the stuff. And you think you're getting something for nothing? You got nothing. You've got to learn how to do it. Equifax. You got a report come in there. Says your score is such and such. Says 720. You say, honey, that's not bad, 720. Then you go to apply for a loan. They say your FICO is 680. You say, but I got an Equifax report. Yeah, but you never read it. It was based upon a Vantage system and not a FICO system. You don't understand the differences. You don't understand why you get turned down for loans. Every time you get turned down, it's another nick on your credit report. You can learn from me that you can go to that marketplace and apply to 10 different places for a loan, have none of them with the credit report listed except the one that gives you a loan. Nothing else. You've got to take charge of you, and that's what I've been teaching 40 years, and I've learned a lot. And my students have educated me as to what you need in order to make it happen for you in that marketplace. You know, I find so exciting there about government opportunities out there. Grants, low interest loans, Title I's, Veteran Administration, Section 8s, foreclosures, etc., etc. Let's take a couple of these. Grants. How many of you in this room, by a show of hands, ever received a government grant where you never have to pay that money back? One? Thank you, sir. And roughly speaking, round figures, how much was that you received?
I can't remember.
I couldn't quite hear you.
I can't remember. It's for college.
A few thousand?
A few thousand, yeah.
2,000?
It could have been like $5,000 to $7,000.
Oh, $5,000, $7,000. What was that for? Education or real estate or business? What was it for?
Education, college.
Education. Okay, education. I found actually that having a family with 5 children is going to cost a lot of money to educate. I found that out. But I'd also heard that there was rich people sending their children off to Ivy League schools who didn't pay, and yet they're millionaires. There must be something I don't know. And I took the time to study